Well, yes, indeed. Those are some of the headlines this morning, but part of which the unfortunate incident involving the helicopter crash in Port Harcourt. So this morning, we're just going to go ahead and get some updates on the same matter. We're joined by Captain Alex Bade Jr., who is the Director General, Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, who joins us virtually. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Morning, Jim.
Yeah, so really a tough one for a lot of people to take, especially seeing that they were really close to where they were headed. So what is the latest development today?
Our investigators are en route to the FPSO from Port Harcourt at this time. We know a couple more bodies have been recovered. The helicopter is down about 40 meters of water. So recovery of the wreckage will be a little difficult over the next coming weeks or coming days. We'll try to recover the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder. Obviously, right now, the priority is to recover the rest of the bodies there from the helicopter.
How many more bodies have been recovered?
2 more at this time.
So if we get it right, as of yesterday, we're told 3 people were killed in that crash. Apparently, there are a lot more because we understand there were 8 people on board the helicopter. Is it possible that none of them survived?
Yeah, unfortunately, at this time, that's the working theory. They've recovered 2 more bodies, making a total of 5. There are 3 more down there that hopefully will be recovered today.
Do you think that there is any way that they might have been able to make it out alive, the remaining 3 people?
I mean, the human being is resilient. As long as they have their life support devices, there's a chance that we might find survivors there.
So tell us more about this helicopter. What other information do you have? Because we understand that they were just about 1 kilometer away from their destination. What are some of the things that you think might I know it might be difficult for you to speculate, and it's not something that but what are the preliminary reports that you're getting in terms of what might have happened 1 kilometer away from destination?
That will be speculation. I can't really say, but we do know there was some weather. There was some light to moderate rain on the arrival, and it was overcast. So we'll look into that. That might have a chance or a role here to play in the survivability of the ditching. But other than that, I can't really say until we recover the flight data recorder, cockpit voice recorder, and speak to more witnesses there.
What are some of the safety precautions? Because we also know that the rainy season, you just mentioned clouds, overcast. The rainy season is just about wrapping up in some parts of Nigeria. In some other parts, the rains are getting intense. What sort of safety precautions are helicopter pilots required to take, before they set out on a flight like that?
Well, any pilot is required to look at your arrival weather at your destination or your route weather wherever you're going. So that's one. And of course, they'll check their survivability equipment, survivable gear, considering this an offshore helicopter. So flotation devices and whatnot should be checked to be serviceable.
Well, just going through the information available everywhere, it appears as though there may be some gaps, but maybe, you could speak to that professionally. Is it that, because we understand that there's a forward operating base, which is really close there, but it turns out that they were not approached for any rescue effort whatsoever. Are you aware of that?
I'm unaware of that, but I wouldn't say they weren't approached for any rescue efforts because there were 6 vessels in the sea at that time assisting in the recovery operation. The FPSO was there, and there's another rig just a few kilometers away. So there was robust support in the area, and I think the people in the FPSO saw the helicopter visually going down in the water as well. But there was enough support there, about 6 vessels in the water at that time.
So could you give us a picture? What is the procedure for the safety measures that is supposed to naturally kick in when these kind of things happen? Is it that those vessels are usually there all the time when they fly? In the event that they are not, what procedure, how should it turn out normally?
Well, I will be able to speak as to marine procedures at this time, but I do know whenever there's an accident at sea, the information is broadcast to vessels in the area to support. That happens all the time. I mean, we've seen crashes and incidents in the water where other vessels go to help, just like the crash in the Hudson in the United States years ago. You had the vessels in the sea go rescue the survivors.
I'm just a little curious, going with your own experience as a pilot yourself. I do know that this certainly is not something. I heard you speak to Chamberlain yesterday, and you say this is not something that happens often. Thankfully, that the airspace, transport within the airspace is heavily regulated. However, when you do recover the flight recorder, and we're hoping that would happen very soon, what will you be looking to, get from it? What will the safety agency be looking to extract from it?
Once we get that, we download the information in our lab and we come up with a working theory of what happened. Fortunately, we have the equipment to simulate the whole flight, the entire flight, should we recover the recorders in good working condition. So once we're able to do that, we'll try to find out what happened to the helicopter at this time. And once we know that, we'll disseminate that to the regulators and to the general public, really, for sensitization and for corrections to be made, or corrective action.
How likely is that? Do we know if the helicopter exploded or what?
Now, we're unaware of what happened at this time. No, I have no information as to what happened to the helicopter. That will be speculated. We just know that they declared an emergency and did say they were ditching in the water. That's as far as I know at this time.
Captain, I can't imagine how you must feel when you receive this kind of news from time to time. There's something, and I'm pretty sure that you're as distraught as many Nigerians looking at this now. But, there is some information that your organization has put out, one of which is that there is an endurance of 2 hours and 15 minutes of fuel at the time of the incident. What is the implication of that?
That really has nothing to bear in this. 2 hours and 15 minutes of fuel is a lot of fuel, considering they were only 8 kilometers from the intended destination. So we're not, at this time, all options are on the table, but I can't speak to that at this time, but we just know that they had enough fuel.
So, in other words, that possibility of running out of fuel is taking out. But perhaps also the question that Mark were asked around whether or not there was an explosion is part of the reason that I'm asking that question. Could that have happened?
I have no idea. Anything could have happened, and we'll know more once we recover the flight data recorder in the coming weeks. But I can't speak to any information on explosion.
All right. But there was also this information that you may want to please speak to this again, because you may have spoken to it before, that the helicopter was flying under visual flight rules, but did not emit any or transmit any emergency locator transmitter signal, making such efforts more complex. What is the implication? What could be the implication of that, Captain?
Well, fortunately, we know exactly where there are divers there at the scene recovering bodies. So, fortunately, the ELT this time, was not totally necessary. But typically, when a crash happens, the ELT should go out and broadcast a signal on 121.5 megahertz. Which anybody tuning into that frequency on VHF should be able to pick up. So, unfortunately, that didn't go off at this time. We'll know more once the helicopter, if it's being able to be recovered from that depth, because 40 meters is pretty. But we will be recovering the flight data recorder and concrete voice recorder.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait just as you have said. But do you have any idea of what timeline we should be looking out for this recovery?
I can't speak to that at this time. There's a lot of logistics involved in that. We're working on, we aim to publish our preliminary in the next 30 days. So hopefully we'll try to wrap that up before the prelim is released.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Captain, and our commiserations to the industry and to the families that are directly involved and to the organization that the deceased served. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Captain Alex Badi Jr., DG, Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
All right, let's switch gear now. Chamberlain. Oh, well, before we go to Abuja, let's take a short break, and when we return, more issues to be raised from the statements the president has made about cutting the cost of governance. A long conversation over the years. We'll be right back.